All right, so when I'm talking about taking pictures of the story, basically what I'm doing is I'm thinking about an album. And I know albums are not as big as they used to be, but I think albums are still something that wedding photographers should think about. And it could be something that's really great for the couple. And it's also a great way for you to be able to generate some profit beyond just giving them the digital files. If you can create a really amazing storytelling album, they'll see the value not only in the product, but they'll also see the value in how you are as a storyteller. And so every album that we make is a story. And my wife and I, or just me when I shoot weddings still, I think of the entire day as a story. And so everything I look at, everything I see, I'm trying to fit in to tell a little bit of that story piece by piece as we go along. All right. And so this album is an example of that kind of a mindset. And let me show you some of this. So, um, this is a wedding that we did a while ago that I just love the album still to this day. It's one of my favorites. Just a pretty album, and it was a beautiful day, and it was a lot of fun. It was just a joyful, wonderful wedding that would just, it's what you asked for with a wedding. So you can see me put together the pieces of this story piece by piece. So we have details, and that's how we open, pieces of the setting the scene almost, right? Where so you're creating a story by showing some of the details. You have the wedding dress, and you have the flowers and the ring, and then some of the details that they've created especially for their wedding that's important for them to remember down the line and in the future when they're looking at this amazing book. And then we have them getting ready. We're choosing really cool moments from that day. And we see him here, seeing the card, and then her seeing her card, and, the reactions. I'm with the guys, my wife is with the girls, and we're able to get both. If it wasn't both of us, I would probably take pictures at one place and then I'd run to the other. And if they had already looked at the card or something like that, I would reenact it. So I would just be like, "Hey, can you pick that up again?" And I would tell them that's for the story. It's for the story of your day. And when you put it that way, they're always cool with that kind of stuff. And here's a page of the guys getting ready with a portrait, and the girls getting ready. You have the these are the so you have the main characters, which is the bride and the groom, and then you have the supporting characters, and somebody like the cute little girls. And this was before cell phones were that big of a deal. I think it was that long ago. So the kids had some kind of other electronic device. So we go, and then there's portraits, and we don't use all the portraits in an album, just some of the main ones, some of the main families, and the bridesmaids and the groomsmen. And what I'm doing is when I'm thinking about this book, I'm picking pictures based on the flow of where we're going. So we have some portraits here with the bride, and then on the right hand side, she's kind of leaving, right? She's walking away. So it's a detail of the dress. You get to see a little bit of the background, and then she's leading us. She's about to go out the door, and we're going to the next part of the story. And you can see the guys, shaking hands with guests. The bride, she's coming down, the flower girls putting down the flowers, the father, and you can see the stories being told. One of us is down with the guys, and one of us is up with the girls. So my wife and I would always coordinate. As soon as I was taking pictures of the bride coming down the aisle, my wife would kind of jump out of the way, right? She'd jump, then I would be able to get this kind of stuff. And again, it's telling the story. Here's the ceremony, the players, right? The other characters of the story, and you have the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, the father kissing the bride, and then you have just them. And then we used like a minimal design in a lot of our albums, and so it was just kind of like a pretty black and whites, sometimes put on the page by themselves, and then contrasted with the color, and more wedding details, shots of the ceremony, ending with the kiss, and then them walking away. My wife was up top on the balcony area, and then I was right in the aisle. So as soon as I moved out of the way, she shot that. It really does help sometimes to have two shooters, but it's not mandatory at all. And then we go and get some fun portraits. The bride and groom shots are always worthwhile to get some of them. And, for the bride and groom to take some time to go and do that because they really fit into the story of the day. And it's also something, one of the first times they're able to get some breathers of the day, right? Everything's really stressful and they can kind of finally relax, and you get some of the best, most passionate shots that from that day. And I like those a lot. So then we go inside. We have the detail again of the cake and the cake cutting, the toasts, right? Some details. One shot of the bride, one shot of the groom juxtaposed. Reactions, wide shots mixed with, mediums and close. A variation. The light was amazing in their first dance. You could see the big giant open windows and light coming in. Although we did bring external lights as well, and that was helped to balance things out a little bit. But we didn't do that all the time. We didn't do external lights for every wedding. And here's some more of those shots. And then, of course, them leaving. And so you can see the entire wedding basically in a story. All right. So when you think of it in that way, when you think of it as a story, you're thinking about the details, the characters, and you're setting the scene, and you're telling that story throughout this entire wedding. And that's what we did as wedding photographers, telling the story.